Hi there and welcome to this week's vlog, and I begin with some good news. About 6 weeks ago I was out running early one morning, tripped and fell, landed on my shoulder and ended up with a fractured collarbone. Well, I've been back today to the fracture clinic for a follow-up appointment, and the good news is I've been discharged. There's still a bit of tenderness there. I've got to be careful for the next 6 weeks not to carry heavy loads. But it looks as though I'm well on the way to a recovery, so that's great. Thank God for that. Not a great experience, but thankful for the NHS, the way they've looked after me, and for God, for his blessing, and for those who've supported me and cared for me, particularly Sue, my wife. And it's that relationship, and my relationship with Sue to some extent, that I want to briefly talk about. And I wonder if, and I imagine this is true for all of us, every person on the planet, I would imagine, that there have been times when you've reacted to something and almost without thinking, you say something in response to something that's happened or something someone said or done, and instantly, as soon as those words are out of your mouth, you regret ever having said them. And the reality is that once words come out of my mouth, we're not going to get them back. The effect that they've had will remain. I've a couple of times recently I've reacted to something and said something to Sue that really I desperately wish I hadn't said, and it has upset her, and I'm instantly sad and sorry, and I say sorry to Sue, and I confess. There's a fly buzzing around. I confess to her that I shouldn't have said that, but memory will remain, even though I am truly sorry. And I've been thinking about that old saying that is totally ridiculous, that says, "Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me." What a load of tosh that is, isn't it? We can be tremendously hurt by words. Sticks and stones may break a bone, but that will heal. Sometimes things that are said to us take a long time to heal, if they ever do. Interesting, Jesus says some things very challenging in this area. He says this: the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. So if we say something unkind or hurtful to somebody, we can't blame anybody else for the words that we've said. We can't say, "Oops, that was a mistake." Well, it might have been a mistake, but it comes from our heart. It comes from within. Another similar words from Jesus. This is when some people are arguing about some things that people eat will defile them. There's certain religious rules and regulations in Jesus' day, and certain foods you should not eat. But Jesus says this: what goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them. I find those really challenging words of Jesus. That any evil words, any untrue words, anything hurtful words, they're coming out of our heart from who we are. How do we deal with that? Well, think back to the Old Testament and King David, who sinned in a massive way. And in Psalm 51, it's really a prayer of repentance, confessing to God and asking for God's forgiveness. And he prays to God, Psalm 51 verse 10, "Create in me a clean heart, O God. Wash this sinful heart, make it clean, Lord, so that what comes out of my mouth will be clean and pure and holy." And then finally, the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 36 and verse 26, God's promise to Ezekiel is this: "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone," the word hard heart, "and give you a heart of flesh." And so my urgent prayer, my prayer, is that God will renew and cleanse my heart, so that the words that come from my lips will not hurt my wife, or anybody. Will not be untrue, will not be spiteful, will not be gossipy, will not be unhelpful to anybody. So God, I pray with David, for myself and for all those who are listening today, create in us a clean heart, renew us, so that our lips may speak words that are helpful, will build others up, words of love and encouragement. So there's my thought for today. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening.